Hello, fellow pondologists. Welcome to the first episode of the Species Spotlight. In this series, we are going to do a deep dive into the specifics of some of the most exciting and sought-after game fish for your pond. You'll get the specialized knowledge and my own tried and true strategies. Whether you're dreaming of dinner plate crappies or a hard-fighting smallmouth bass fishery, you'll have exactly what you need to confidently manage your pond. We'll be getting into the nuts and bolts of each species. Each episode is a deep dive into one specific game fish and their allies. Allies meaning what other species they do well with and their preferred forage species. We'll cover their unique needs, stocking strategies, how to create their perfect habitat, and how to manage their populations to reach your goals. Goals give direction, but systems make progress. And for each species, we've got a management system for you. So make sure that notepad is handy because we're jumping right into the secrets of growing your dream fishery. In the first episode, we will be covering the Black Crappie, aka the papermouth, the sockeye, the calico bass, the speckled perch, the strawberry bass, but most importantly, and technically speaking, Pomoxis nigromaculatus. I'll refer to it as the Black Crappie from here on out. The Black Crappie is very popular in the panfish world. They taste fantastic and they're a blast to catch. They're a part of the sunfish family, Centrarchidae. You can find them throughout most of the United States, but here's the deal. To successfully manage Black Crappie, it means you've got to understand a few things. These fish can reproduce like crazy, and if you don't keep things in check, you could end up with a stunted crappie population. Not exactly what we're aiming for, right? So on the flip side, if you manage them correctly, if you have a fail-proof system, Black Crappie can make your pond very fun and add to the overall diversity, giving you a very tasty resource to enjoy. This guide is your roadmap. We're going to dive deep into everything you need to know about these fish, what they need to survive, thrive, best ways to stock them, how to create their ideal habitat, and how to keep their populations in check. All right, the first thing we will cover is the water quality. To grow some brag-worthy Black Crappie, you've got to give them exactly what they need, especially when it comes to their water quality. The temperature controls their metabolisms and ideal spawning time frames. They typically start spawning in the spring when the water hits around 60 to 65 degrees. This usually happens around late March, April, or even early May, depending on where you are at in the world and what Mother Nature is bringing to the table. So although they can thrive in cooler climates, they do pretty well in warmer climates. It keeps them healthy and their metabolisms are humming at that point. And ponds with at least 10 feet of depth are preferred by the crappie so that they can seek thermal refuge in the middle of the summer or even in the middle of the winter too. Clarity is a huge factor for Black Crappie. They prefer clear water with at least 24 inches of visibility. Why is this so important? Well, the main predator of the Black Crappie is the largemouth bass, and they are actually sight feeders. So if the water's cloudy, bass can't hunt as well. Less hunting by the bass means that too many crappies survive, leading to a stunted crappie population. Nobody wants that. So your game plan should include keeping that water clear, minimize soil erosion from around the pond, find clay that's resuspended, algae blooms that pop up when you have too many nutrients in the water. In the ultimate pond management playbook, you'll learn everything you need to know exactly about how to improve the water quality and clarity of your pond. The next water quality parameter to keep an eye out on is dissolved oxygen, or DO. Having enough dissolved oxygen is absolutely critical for all fish. They kind of need it to breathe and for all of their metabolic functions. So just like other freshwater fish, black crappie need a certain amount of DO to stay healthy. Long stretches of low DO can stress them out, make them sick, or even kill them in certain cases. So deeper spots in your pond, say 5 to 10 feet, often have more stable, cooler water, which means more dissolved oxygen, especially when it's hot out, but only if it's clear enough for the sunlight to penetrate down that far so that photosynthetic organisms such as phytoplankton and algae can produce oxygen. Mechanical aeration, such as surface aeration or bottom diffused aeration, can actually be a game changer for keeping DO levels up, especially during hot summers or if you get dense algae blooms that suck all of the oxygen out at night through respiration. So generally you want to keep DO above 5 parts per million. pH levels are another one that you need to look out for. For freshwater fish, it needs to be between 6.5 to 9. Keeping your pond's pH stable within this range is very important for the overall health of your pond and your crappie. Big swings in pH are actually bad news for the fish. It can stress them out and make them more vulnerable to infections and diseases. So sticking to that general freshwater pH range will help create a great environment for your crappie. Here's a pro tip. Make sure the alkalinity is above 50 parts per million to buffer pH swings. I go into depth on how to improve the alkalinity and keep a stable pH in the Ultimate Pond Management Playbook that's available on our website. Black crappie love underwater habitat. They hang out in and around it all the time. These structures are their homes, giving them places to hide, find food, and even spawn. This can be natural habitat like trees, logs, stumps, or man-made habitat, brush piles, from cedar trees or old Christmas trees. Artificial habitat is also an excellent addition, or even just piles of rock or concrete blocks. Having plenty of cover is a must for a healthy crappie population. It gives them protection from predators, shade, a food buffet of small crustaceans, insects, and other invertebrates that are clinging to the periphyton or algae that's adhered to the habitat. Plus, crappie tend to gather in large schools around these structures, which means better fishing for you, a fish attractor. Putting these structures at different depths is key. Shallower areas are key for spawning in the spring, while deeper structures give them a place to escape the summer heat and the cold in the wintertime. You'll want to have at least 20% of your pond bottom covered with some type of structural habitat. Now, talking about aquatic vegetation, it's also very beneficial. Having a moderate amount of aquatic plants is a good thing for crappie. Underwater and emergent plants provide good cover for largemouth bass. And remember, you need an established bass population to keep the crappie numbers in check. So these plants also provide homes for insects and invertebrates that the young crappie eat as well. So they also produce oxygen through photosynthesis. But you do need a balance. Too much vegetation can make it difficult for the bass to efficiently find and capture crappie, leading to overpopulation and then stunting. And think twice before using grass carp for weed control if you're managing for crappie, because they have the potential to actually wipe out all of your plants, messing up the food chain and potentially hurting both your crappie and their predators. In the Ultimate Pond Management Playbook, I go into great detail about different vegetation control methods, how to improve habitat in a way that provides the perfect predator-prey dynamics. Black crappie are a bit particular about where they lay their eggs. They usually pick nesting spots near shoreline areas with a firm bottom, like gravel or sand or hard mud. These nests are typically in fairly shallow water from 1 to 6 feet deep and often near existing structures or plants. When spawning season comes along, the male crappie gets these areas ready by clearing away the junk, the debris, by fanning the bottom to make a nice bed for the eggs. You can help them out by adding some gravel beds in shallow areas or providing artificial spawning structures like weighted tubs filled with gravel. Making sure they have good places to spawn is essential for natural reproduction and a healthy, self-sustaining crappie population. The diets of the black crappie changes as they grow. Young ones, from fry to juveniles, mostly eat zooplankton and small aquatic insects. This is their fuel for growing fast early on. Once they get to about 6 to 8 inches long, they start shifting to eating smaller fish and minnows. Adult crappie are mainly fish eaters or piscivores. They like to munch on whatever forage fish are easy to find, like threadfin, gizzard shad, smaller bluegill. Stalking fathead minnows can give newly stocked crappie an initial snack, but fatheads often become eaten up pretty quickly and don't usually create a good long-term food source. I normally stock golden shiners instead of fathead minnows because they seem to last longer and they can grow to larger sizes. Putting gizzard shad in your crappie pond isn't generally a great idea because the bass might actually start preferring the shad, which means less bass pressure on the crappie. Understanding these eating habits is crucial so you can manage the food web in your pond and make smart choices about stocking the right kinds of food to keep your crappie healthy and growing. This is where many pond owners and even some fisheries biologists go wrong. For established ponds with bass and bluegill, stock about 15 to 30 adult black crappie per acre to get started. For new ponds, you should wait a year or two until the bass population is established, then add adult crappie. Or you can also put 50 to 100 fingerlings per acre in as well. Stocking fingerlings in the fall or early winter has been known to yield a little bit better survival rates. You do need a healthy bass population to control the crappie abundance, and which prevents stunting. This is a non-negotiable for a good crappie pond. If the bass aren't doing their jobs at controlling the crappie abundance, there are actually a couple other really good predators that you can stock. The wiper and or the sawguy are excellent crappie control species. I will talk about them in another episode in detail. Black crappie are often better for ponds versus white crappie because the reproductive rates of the black crappies are slightly lower compared to the white crappie, so keep that in mind. I do know of an alternative crappie species that has even less recruitment when compared to the black crappie, the hybrid crappie. Stay tuned because we'll actually cover them in another episode. You can't manage what you don't measure. Monitoring the health and abundance of your crappie pond will be an essential management action to ensure their continued growth. Seining or using a cast net to sample the young of the year is an excellent option. Angler surveys and checking on your bass and bluegill will tell you a lot. In the Ultimate Pond Management Playbook, I explain how to effectively and methodically sample your pond to get an accurate picture of what is going on with your fishery. In the next episode of the Species Spotlight, we will be covering how to manage your pond for channel catfish. So stay tuned and hit that subscribe button to get notified about when the next episode drops. If you gained something from this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Doing that helps grow this channel so that I can keep making these videos for you guys. So feel free to ask any questions and let me know if there's something that you're interested in or that you'd like me to cover in another video. Just let me know in the comments. If you really want to take your pond knowledge to the next level, you'll have to go check out the Ultimate Pond Management Playbook. Click on the link in the description to enroll or go to pondology101.com. Now remember, you don't need a PhD or a master's degree to master the science of pondology. It's your pond, so don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't do with it. You can create your own dream pond. You can be your own biologist.